All right, let's talk money. Today, we're going to lay out a financial roadmap for you. We'll kick things off with the basics of budgeting. Then we'll level up to some really powerful ways to build wealth. And finally, we'll see how all of this stuff actually works in the real world. You ready? Let's dive in.
Okay, let me ask you something. Does thinking about your finances ever feel just overwhelming? You know that feeling when you look at your bank account and your stomach just drops a little bit? If that sounds familiar, I want you to know you are so not alone. It's a feeling a lot of us know. In fact, check out this number. A whopping 74% of working Americans say they're stressed about their money. I mean, think about that. That's almost 3 out of every 4 people you know. So, the big takeaway here is that this isn't some personal failure on your part. It's a huge shared challenge. But, and this is the good news, there are some really simple ways to get that feeling of control back.
So, where do we start? Well, let's begin with one of the most popular and honestly effective tools you can use, the 50-30-20 rule. Seriously, think of this as your financial North Star. It's a super simple, clear guide that helps you figure out where your money should be going.
So, what is this thing exactly? Well, it was made famous by Senator Elizabeth Warren, and it's basically a really straightforward way to budget. Here's how it works. You take your after-tax income, the money you actually bring home, and you split it into 3 big buckets. 50% goes to your needs, 30% to your wants, and a super important 20% goes toward your financial goals.
And right away, I want you to notice something. This rule is not about cutting out all the fun from your life. I mean, a full 30% is set aside for your wants. The whole point here is about getting the proportions right. It just makes you pause and ask those key questions. Like, is half my income really going to the absolute essentials? And am I actually saving at least a fifth of what I'm making?
Now, the absolute key to making this work is knowing the difference between a need and a want. And it sounds simple, but it's crucial. Needs are the things you have to live. Your rent or mortgage, your utilities, your groceries. Wants are all the other stuff, the lifestyle choices, going out for dinner, all those streaming services, a vacation. Getting really honest about this distinction, that's the whole game.
Okay, but let's talk about that 20% bucket. This slice of the pie, this is everything. This is your future. We're not just talking about savings in a generic way. This is you actively building wealth and security for yourself. This is where you attack high-interest debt, build up that all-important emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of living expenses, and, of course, contribute to retirement accounts like a 401k or an IRA.
All right, so once you've got that 50-30-20 budget working for you and everything's running smoothly, it's time to level up. Let's talk about a strategy to really supercharge that 20% and make it work way harder for you. And this strategy is called stacking.
So, the big question is, what's the smartest thing to do with that 20%? I mean, sure, you could just stick it in a regular old savings account, but there are these incredibly powerful tax-advantaged tools out there that can literally accelerate your financial progress in a huge way.
And I love this quote from Fidelity because it just nails the concept. The idea is that these different accounts, your HSA, your 401k, your IRA, they aren't rivals competing for your money. They're teammates. The whole stacking strategy is about using them together, playing to each one's unique strengths to build a much, much stronger financial future.
So let's meet the players on the team, right? First up, you've got the Health Savings Account, the HSA. It's a special account for medical expenses with some amazing tax benefits. Then there's the 401k, which is that retirement plan you get through your job, often with that awesome company match. And finally, the Individual Retirement Account, or IRA, which gives you a lot more freedom in how you invest. And when you look at those contribution limits for 2026, you can see how stacking them all together lets you save a pretty serious amount of money in a really tax-smart way.
Okay, so what's the actual game plan? Here's the order of operations. Step 1, and seriously, this is non-negotiable. Put enough into your 401k to get the full employer match. Don't leave free money on the table. It's literally free money. Step 2, if you have access to one, max out your HSA. The tax benefits are just too good to pass up. And then finally, with whatever you have left in that 20% bucket, you go back and pump up your 401k and your IRA as much as you can.
But here's the thing, a financial plan isn't something you just set and forget. It's not just about rules and strategies. You also have to be ready to navigate some unexpected twists and turns because, well, the whole financial world is always changing.
Yeah, your personal finances don't exist in a bubble, right? Big things like government policies and economic changes can directly affect the tools and plans we rely on. And a perfect recent example of this has to do with student loan repayment plans. It's a great illustration of why you just have to stay on top of this stuff.
Get this, over 7 million. That's how many student loan borrowers are currently on the SAVE plan, that's an income-driven repayment plan, and they're going to be affected because there's a proposal to get rid of it. We're not talking about a small tweak here. This is something that's going to shake up the budgets of a massive number of people.
And this quote from a letter that a bunch of U.S. senators sent really gets to the core of the problem for these borrowers. I mean, think about it. They did what they were supposed to do. They followed the rules, they signed up for a plan, and now that plan might just disappear, forcing them to scramble for a new one that could be a lot more expensive.
So you can imagine this creates a ton of uncertainty. The senator's letter points out all these crucial questions that people are now asking. How long do I have to find a new plan? How much more is this going to cost me every month? The real lesson here for all of us is that being smart with money isn't just about budgeting. It's also about paying attention to these bigger shifts that can have a very real impact on your bank account.
Okay, so we've covered a lot, right? From a simple budgeting rule all the way to complex policy changes. So where does that leave us? What are the absolute fundamental first steps you need to take? How do you build a financial foundation that's strong enough to handle whatever comes your way? Let's wrap it all up.
Really, it all comes down to these 5 essential habits. Number 1, you've got to create a budget. Something like the 50-30-20 rule, just so you know where your money's going. Number 2, build that emergency fund for when life happens. 3, have an actual plan to manage and pay down your debt. 4, build strong credit. Simple stuff like paying your bills on time. And number 5, start saving for retirement, like now. Even if you start small, the power of compound interest over time is an absolute game changer.
Look, getting your finances in order is a journey. It's not some finish line you cross. It's really just about taking that first clear, intentional step, and then the next one. So take a look at your own financial map. What's the first step you're going to take? Thanks for joining me.